Right, good evening guys, and welcome to another episode of Synergy Live, and it's episode 4 coming live from SSN Studios once again. Tonight I've got a really special guest with us, and I'm really pleased to have him here tonight. So guys, want to introduce you to Dave Painter. Dave, good evening. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate being here. It's always nice to come down and visit the guys at Synergy.
Oh, it's great, yeah. So I know it's not your first time here, is it? You've been before, you've been on a live with Geffen before.
I have indeed. I mean, in terms of the journey, it's the first time I've been here, since the very beginning of the journey to where I am now.
Yep.
So actually to come on as a guest is now as established as, as I've become over the months. So yeah, it's
brilliant.
It's a different feeling being here now because I don't feel like I'm sort of sat there at a naughty school, keep getting told how to progress in life. But yeah, so
awesome. So guys, Dave's joined us tonight so that we can really kind of delve a little bit deeper into how LifeSwitch has come about, and we'll get Dave to tell you all about LifeSwitch as we go throughout the interview. Now, with all Synergy Lives, I do like as much interaction as possible. So if anybody wants to drop their comments or questions into the box, we are going to keep a close eye on that. And any questions that come up, Dave, you'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, more than happy. Yeah, absolutely.
So Dave, look, let's get started. Let's go back. Let's go back to the start. Tell me where the conception and where the idea of LifeSwitch came from.
Okay, so the idea behind LifeSwitch all started for me with a chance advert that popped up on Facebook. The actual name LifeSwitch didn't come to much further down the line, but basically I booked myself in to a one-to-one coaching session with a guy, Lewis Raymond Taylor.
Yeah, we've tagged Lewis in, so hopefully he'll be watching. I think he's actually watching.
Hey, dude, how you doing, Lewis? Watching. And in that 1 hour time, something I didn't realise, actually, the fact that he planted a very important seed within me, and it was all about challenging my own mindset with stuff.
Yeah.
That originally was all around the fact I didn't have a driving licence, and I'd failed a couple of times, and I'd got myself into that routine where I basically could not break past that fear anymore. So roll on a couple of years later, I found myself in quite a bad place. So I sort of got back heavy into drugs, drinking, and I found myself, around these people that all the time you was doing the same thing. You was very important to them. The minute you didn't want to do it, they didn't, no phone calls, no text, no nothing.
Yeah.
I was in a bad way. I was on a night out, and this was mentioned a little bit earlier. And as I fell back from the group that I was walking with, something just hit me out of nowhere. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just watched these people walk away. And in that moment, I knew I had to make a decision, and I had to change something very important before I lost everything.
Yeah.
So I reconnected with Lewis, and I decided that I was going to take on one of his coaching programs and really dig deeper into the changes that I needed to make, and utilize the experience that he got. He's got a very similar backstory to himself.
Yeah, I actually went to Fired Up in London.
Yeah, I missed it.
It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
sorry, is that a sore subject? Should I not bring that up? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to go, but I will definitely be at the next one, so don't worry about that. And as I've sort of keep joking with Lewis, yeah, I'll be up there and I'll have my little picture in there.
It was an incredible event, and I can see why you were inspired by Lewis, because I sat there on the edge of my seat listening to his story. So it's fantastic to see that that something from that has triggered inside you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, and this is what brought me to the concept of teaching people mindset and fixed growth mindsets, because you don't know until you actually understand yourself, and you'll become very self-aware that someone can say something to you, and you can just something will trigger in your mind. You go, well, if I tell that person to approach something in a way they haven't thought about yet, you can see something that will just transition them to a completely different person.
Yeah.
And that's where I ended up speaking to Geffen and Mark.
Yeah.
I ended up being connected with them, and they said, well, why don't you come down to the office? And that was the first time I come here. And they said, well, what's the concept? What's the idea? And I sat there for a while, and I was going, well, I'd really like to help people, break the mindset of, that they're going to be trapped in this, employee mindset for the rest of their life, and they've been to prison, and then, society never going to see them as anything more than, a ex-convict. And Mark and Geffen posed this really difficult question to me that it done me for the first couple of days. I went, right, you've got 14 days to message us with a name.
Right, okay.
And I didn't really understand
that. Sounds like typical Mark and Geffen. Put a time frame on it, think it, say it, do it.
Get it done, yeah. And we went through the different bits and pieces on the walls, and your big hairy arse goals and stuff. And I walked out of the office and I was like, damn, that's some pressure right there, because you when you come into office, you can feel the success, you can feel the drive and the passion and the motivation for people to progress and do as well as possible.
Yeah, of course.
So I went home and I spoke to my partner and I said, right, this is serious now. I've been talking about this idea of starting this business and this, this life coaching and mindset development coaching and stuff, but now I've been posed action.
Yeah.
And no one really put me in that position before. No one said, right, well, do something about it. Like, let's see it, think it, say it, do it. The whole concept.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I got into a little group chat with them, and I think we got about 8 days into the 14 days, and I said, we've done it. And I put it out with the Hunger Start and with a partner, Joanne, and we sat there and we rolled it around in our head, and the idea came up. Well, what do you think you needed to do to become, this person that you want to be, to inspire and help others? I said, well, I'd like to switch things around.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where
I see where it's going.
Yeah. And then you go, well, so you had to have a life switch. You go, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's where the name come from. And then once I had the name, everything else just kind of slotted in.
It does usually happen like that, doesn't it? Once you've got that kind of vision and you know kind of what it is you want to achieve, it just all falls into place. So what were the next steps from once you kind of established that it was going to be LifeSwitch? What was the plans moving on from there?
So this is when, for me, it really does become that challenging, but in a really sort of like elevating way. Yeah. Because once you've got the name, you then have to think of like, what is your purpose? What is the ultimate outcome of what you want to establish with people, what value you want to deliver? And for me, it was, who did I need 10 years ago? Yeah. Who did I need before that moment in 2007 where I got shipped up to Peterborough? Yeah. And, taken away from my friends and family and everything I held dear to me for this, for that period. And I thought, well, it is that taking people away from probably, what has been fortified around their head that they're never going to do anything in their life. They're never going to be any more than, drinking, fighting, sitting down in the park with White Lightning or whatever your tipple was. My case, Foster's. I was a posh parky. So that then sort of gave us the idea to help people develop their mindset. So the jailbreaking the mind sort of then started rolling around, and you just sort of sit there and spider diagram and write out all these silly ideas. And they always say something that jumps at you more than 3 times is going to be the one that's going to stick with you. But that's where it kind of finished for quite a long time. It plateaued a little bit, and I started thinking, well, how am I going to deliver that value? I've done no coaching courses. What makes me the person that is going to help these people, and how they can then transition themselves to where I got to at that moment. And that's when you start asking the right people. You start connecting with people that are coaches, mindset, business development, all these different types. I've even reached out to health and well-being and empowerment coaches for people that have come out of abusive relationships and stuff, because it's all, the core of it is mindset.
Of course.
I then went on to do a couple of other like sort of short impact coaching programs, and then I joined another one, which is a guy in America, Marshall Gillen, who does the top paid speakers. And he said, well, what do you think gave you the idea behind your business? What do you think actually gave you that initial thought that you wanted to coach people? I said, well, because of my experiences. Yeah. That's why you don't need to do a coaching course.
Yeah, because it's coming from life experience as opposed to education.
Yeah, basically.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
And then there's a couple of other things, and then you start reading books. Because of course, as soon as you class yourself as an entrepreneur on Facebook, you have to start reading books. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not an entrepreneur. These same things always come up when you read these books. If an opportunity comes, don't think about it. Take the opportunity, learn how to do it later. Experience is the highest value diploma in life, and all this sort of stuff. And that's when you start going, well, I've been to the University of Crime. Now let me break the corporate ties and become the person that takes people and coaches them out of that, that mindset. Yeah. and that's sort of where I'm now. I actually have just signed up to a life coaching course.
Fantastic.
Just more for terminology and stuff like that. I mean, you know, when you're doing storytelling, obviously you have to tell it from yourself. It has to be original. It has to be, you know, from me. But certain terminology and stuff, when you're putting together packages and that, there will be certain people that are possibly not so much from, you know, a criminal or, you know, a low income background, but still need that extra push, that extra mindset coaching. So I want to make it a little bit more available.
Okay.
And that's sort of where my partner's group that we co-founded together, the Missing Link, comes in.
I'm a part of the Missing Link, guys, and I think many of the action takers have joined the Missing Link, which is fantastic. We've invited some people across to your group. What I love about
I can see some
being able to, are we getting some interaction now? See, we've got lots of people watching. We've got a couple of people watching, lots of people joining, which is fantastic. Guys, don't forget, if you've got any questions for Dave tonight, drop them in the comments box, and we'll come back to you and we'll engage with you as much as possible. Any questions at all, pose them to Dave. Dave will answer the questions. We're talking about LifeSwitch. We're talking about a journey of a guy that has come from a really difficult background and managed to turn his life around. And it's just trying to get that message across to people out there that feel like they're stuck in a rut and they might not be able to kind of do that. Dave's living proof that you can do it, and this is what we're talking about. So just in terms of kind of where we're at with LifeSwitch at the moment then, Dave, obviously you've got it now, the setup's there. What's next? Where are you at in the journey?
So as it currently stands, you know, I'm moving more into the written side of stuff now. So actually getting, you know, PDFs put together.
So your programs and things like that.
So we're actually, I'm in the process of working with someone who had a really interesting concept on if you saw everything from a child's eye, the world would be so beautiful.
Okay.
So one thing I've always truly believed in is fear is a taught emotion.
Yeah.
So it's reverting the mind back to, you know, that moment where you didn't fear anything, where in actual fact you was encouraged by other people.
Yeah.
So it, you know, I mean, fear, racism, hate, all these sort of things are all taught emotions. They're not. You're not born to be hostile or negative.
Absolutely.
And we become hostile to ourselves. I think that's one of the main issues, especially in terms of mindset, is that you do become very hostile toward yourself. And they actually say that the person that you find the most agitating in the room is because they're reflecting a part of your personality that you don't like.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting. And I went and done a little bit more research on it. And what it's saying is that there's a subconscious part of your mind that affects the way you think, the way that you go about your day. And if you see someone projecting that behavior, you automatically connect with it in a really hostile, negative way.
Yeah.
And you'll instantly have some sort of ill feeling towards that person because what it is a mirrored part of yourself.
Yeah, with you.
So part of it is responsibility. Is a major part of the initial 5 stages of changing your mindset. So a lot of times we will find anyone in the world to blame but ourselves.
Yeah.
So taking responsibility is going to be a big part of it. And as a child, you're taught to take responsibility, and you can always take responsibility. You never have the idea that you can pass blame and project hate towards other people. So the responsibility part of it is going to be massive. And sometimes it's something so silly like road rage is always a great example.
Oh, I suffer from that terribly.
Yeah, but there's levels to how people respond to road rage.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you're on the M25 and you're sat in a horrendous amount of traffic and someone decides they want to switch lanes and they do it a little bit tight to your car, people will flip.
Yeah.
Not because that person's cut them up, but because of the entire situation.
Yeah.
The difference in a growth and fixed mindset in that moment is you realize that the situation has been created by various different events.
Yeah.
The responsibility is your reaction to that event.
Yeah.
The way you respond is what you're responsible for. So if you react in a negative, violent, hostile, or even passive aggressive way, then you've created that negativity in yourself. You've actually created that problem.
Of course.
By responding the way you have. So, you know, taking responsibility for your actions in the past will then lead you to gratitude to yourself. So when you can actually forgive yourself.
Sure.
So my instance then, I mean, in terms of LifeSwitch and what led me here is mine was a drunken nightclub. There was an altercation. I could have solved the issue, but I didn't. My response was violence and anger and aggression. That led me to going to jail.
Yeah.
Now, right up until very recently, I've never actually fully taken responsibility for that moment. I would say, oh, because he started on my friend, or he said this, or he said that. Yeah. Well, yes, he created the situation in that respect, but I'm still responsible for my action, no one else.
Yeah.
So once you can do that, then you have to give yourself forgiveness. Because you have to realise that moment has happened. There's nothing you can do about it anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that you are aware of it now, you then have to forgive it, because otherwise it will consume you and it will eat you up.
So do you find, because I mean, when you kind of think about creating that correct mindset as such, but your initial instincts, so from back in the days when you would react in a violent manner, do you still struggle with the demons? Is there still kind of an element of you that has to sit back and go, Christ, Dave, look, I really need to.
Funny enough, actually, when I'm driving, but
I think that might be quite common for everybody.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some sort of misting spray or something we can have in our car every time they feel the heat rise and your heart.
Sorry, just Dave. Look, this is my partner Sharon. She's just come to us.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, so she's talking about my road rage.
Well, it's fine. When the full coaching course is available, obviously I'll give Rick a copy, and he can come deal with the anger side of stuff. Not a problem.
Brilliant.
I mean, this is the other thing. People have this convoluted idea that we go online, we talk about these great positive mindsets that we have, and anything like that we basically poo rainbows.
Yeah.
I can assure you it is not true.
Absolutely.
Right, there are still moments where I can feel the little vein in the top of my head. And where I shave it on the side now, so I can see something like that. It starts sort of going like indicators.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I mean, look, of course I feel it. The only difference is awareness.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I feel that moment, my heart rate increases or my breathing slightly changes, I know that I'm starting to lose control subconsciously of something that I should be able to control easily.
Yes, of course.
So again, that is part of the taking responsibility thing, and the more you become aware of it, the easier it is to control your temper. And unless you've been to a game where your team's lost and you've had 10 serves, then it's a little bit more difficult.
A little bit different.
That tends to be where you will revert back to old as such. Yes, I am a erratic driver sometimes. That's nothing to do with anger. I'm just going to point this out of the way. This is because I'm a rallying and F1 fan. I see apexes, you see corners.
Brilliant, absolutely superb.
Everything's a hairpin. Like I can never go left or right at a roundabout. That's a straight hairpin turn. I have to go all the way around and then off. Yeah, she does it. To be fair, my partner doesn't even like going 40 on a motorway, so it's not just my driving. People like
calling you out here, Joe.
Yeah, don't get the wrong perception. Yeah, I'm a calm, sensible, reasonable person these days. Of course, things do annoy me. Things do get to me, but
I think that's natural, isn't it? I mean, we're all human. It's in us, isn't it? You can't just eradicate that. Yeah. But like you said, it's about your self-control, self-responsibility, and taking responsibility, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and the other thing, in actual fact, is for the most part, people that are the angriest people are normally the most loving people in the same hand, because it's a very, emotions are very strong. If you're very passionate about something, that can manifest in either anger or happiness, but you'll tend to find there'll be very high levels of emotion.
Yeah.
What you would tend to find with someone that becomes aware of their anger is they find ways to channel it differently. Like for me now, I might say, right, okay, this is done me in, so I might jump in my car, put my music on a little bit louder than usual, go for a drive. By the time I've got 5 minutes away from the house, I've calmed down.
And that's an actual coping mechanism you use?
Yeah, I just love going for a little drive. I mean, sometimes I'll just wind the windows down, I'll go to Langston Harbour.
Yeah.
And just go chill by the water.
Yeah.
Sound of the water chills me out, And this is the other thing that I've not really sort of touched on in the post and that, but it's something that I'm quite a firm believer of, is that, music is historically and scientifically been proven to trigger memories and emotions.
Okay.
We all have a certain amount of songs that will, make us think of an ex-girlfriend. Don't worry, I know you're married now. Or think of, some traumatic part of our life, but then there's always going to be them other songs.
Yeah.
And this is where choice comes into it. because in that moment, like say something's really upset me, if I choose to then go and put angry music on, the chances are it's going to elevate that emotion and make me even angrier.
Yeah, I get it completely.
If I go put Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay on, you'll turn around and I'm going to be like playing with toilet rolls with the Andrex puppy, and you know, generally quite chilled out. So you know, coping mechanisms and stuff like that, they, you know, there's so many different courses and 12 steps and all this sort of stuff you can do. What I'm trying to position in terms of LifeSwitch is to take away the patronizing, you know, course sort of stuff.
Okay.
Going to jail for, you know, something that was manifested in a moment of anger. The first thing they do when you get you out is they put you on anger therapy. They put you through anger management. They put you through all these courses, and you've got some guy, some woman, not gender specific. Let's be careful of that these days. Otherwise I'll have pitchforks at the back having a go. No, but the problem is, like, some of these people, because they have learnt it from a book, they don't have the life experience. You know, for me, I'm trying to do it the other way around, where I've got the life experience. Now I want to be able to create, you know, written content that is a little bit more concise for people that may not understand certain terminologies I would use, you know, coming from different areas of the country and stuff. You try and get something that's more unified. That way anyone can relate and read, but with the experiences still put into it. But yeah, a lot of these courses, especially, and no offence to anyone that works in information services, it's not their fault, because that's they have a curriculum like schools do.
Yeah, it's a set thing.
I mean, this is something actually I'm working with a couple of other coaches to put together a impact event.
Okay.
And we're going to have 10 coaches from 10 different aspects of life coaching, mentoring, mindset, and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to invite loads of people that are at various different stages. And the first thing I thought when we was discussing this event and when we was putting it together, I remember watching a video by a guy called Prince EA, and he was talking about how the education system is you know, it's stuck in the dark ages basically. And the first thing I thought was, like, the one thing I'm not going to do is have the chairs in lines.
Right. Okay. Going to mix it up a little bit.
So they're all going to be laid out in a semicircle, so you don't feel in that factory, get in line and work kind of mindset. Because that's the other thing about closed mindsets, and you know, the way that we've been institutionalized by our education is that we are taught that you go to school, you get your qualifications, you go to uni, college or whatever, you get a job, you do that for 40 years, you retire, you get 2 years to go on the cruise, have a heart attack and get a grave.
Well, that's, I mean, funnily enough, Mark and I were discussing this in the office today, like talking about how you've got all of these entrepreneurs out there, very successful entrepreneurs that could go into schools effectively and teach children how to be financially minded and financially stable, but then it would just break the system, because it would conflict with what teachers are trying to teach children. So it's kind of having a balance in it, of because we're still going to need doctors and teachers, and if you teach everybody how to be a successful entrepreneur,
I mean, this is probably where the official side of it, the government and you know, local council stuff, would argue that point. They can put millions of pounds into funding into creative arts and stuff like that, but where does that leave the doctors and nurses, the vets and all that sort of stuff? What you do, and this is my idea, is nurture passion. Nurture the needs and the wants of children at a younger age.
Okay.
If, for say instance, when I was very young, I wanted to be a vet, but I was never nurtured. So I become a criminal.
Like you do.
I mean, I still had pets that had big spiky collars and used to eat the neighbours' cats. But that's, you know, there's no nurture, there's nothing, there's just no specific development. I mean, they say you've got options. I done options. My IT course, I sat there for about 6 months changing the different logos on Turtle. Didn't teach me anything apart from I can now literally change a little green symbol into a rocket by using coordinates that I'm never going to use because I didn't want to be in the Navy. You know, map coordinates don't mean anything to me. I've got sat nav. That's the way life's progressed.
Of course,
but there are people that want to be doctors. There are people that want to be vets. There are people that these, you know, massively skilled professions, pilots, you know, all these things that you do not get day-to-day people follow through and go and do because of the years of training and expense it takes to develop those sort of skills. So there's always space for entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
there's always space for the
It's,
school systems to go, well, let's if someone says, I want to be a doctor, in a school of 1,500 kids, you'll probably have 10, 15 of them that want to be doctors, nurses, and so on. So create an element for them to go and start learning at a younger age. They can then qualify earlier. It's a much lower strain on the education system. It's a much lower strain on, the government in general, because it lowers the capacity needed for university housing, student housing, because they won't spend 5 years learning something, because at the most adaptive their brain is to learn stuff, they're already there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's the kind of sad thing, that I have a business because of people that never had that opportunity to develop the mindset.
Yeah.
And develop what they wanted to do, when they were at that age.
Yeah.
So a lot of entrepreneurs, especially sort of life coaches, mindset coaches and that, are providing that opportunity to people that feel that they're already past that stage.
Yes.
So you're giving them the chance to go back that 10, 15 years and then reprogress the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
So don't take me too serious on this about the education stuff. I do still want my business, but
Joe's very, very. She's commented on saying that curriculum is outdated, and I think in many aspects it is. I think there is always going to be a place for curriculum-based education, but like you say, there is so much more room for people to be developed at a younger age.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying that the entire purpose of the curriculum is wrong.
Yeah.
Your basic stuff, of course, you do need to learn maths, you do need to learn English. They are fundamental skills, but do you need to learn them to the level of Pythagoras theorem? I got asked a question a while ago to work out one side of a triangle by a 9-year-old, and I just looked like the most blankest look like.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing, to be honest.
Don't get me wrong, like 15, 16 years ago, before I went down the path of drugs and and booze and loose women and all that sort of stuff, I probably would have maintained it.
Yeah.
And I done quite well at school, even with my absences and stuff, but none of it was relevant.
Yeah.
Like, okay, algebra to a certain level is relevant.
Yeah.
But to 1,500 students every term, is algebra that relevant? Of course not.
No.
Yeah. You got someone that's very musically talented. They don't need to know the numbers because they read the symbols.
Of course.
That's how their mind works.
Absolutely.
So nurture that.
Yeah, definitely.
And you think in terms of the cost involved to try and teach 5 different sets in one subject.
Yeah.
So you've got obviously A, B, C, D, and then you're naughty and can't do it set.
Yeah.
That strain could easily be relieved by saying, well, this person has the basic fundamental skills to, get through life in terms of what they've learned. But in actual fact, they have this amazing skill in pottery, or this amazing skill in the violin, or this amazing, piano, guitar. You got BMXers that are out doing world champions at 10 years old. But there's not a single program to nurture them.
No, of course.
They have to find sponsors. They have to be put in by their families. I mean, this is a sad example because obviously I'm a massive F1 fan. But if Lewis Hamilton's dad and stepmom didn't sell everything they had, including their car, their house, and buy him that first go-kart and nurture him, they used to turn up to races, no sponsors, nothing, and his go-kart used to be sticking out the boot of his dad's car.
Yeah, blimey.
But his dad saw an opportunity to nurture him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's just tapping into that skill set at the younger stage possible, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, some people say
where you're coming from completely.
Yeah, some people say, but kids are fickle. Kids are fickle because they're never nurtured to the level that they would want to take something. But then, of course, you've always got the argument that, okay, some parents are very pushy.
Yeah.
Like, I've got mates that have learned piano that have absolutely no interest in it, but they had 7 years of like,
you're going to recital.
Hit them ivories. It is what it is, but then, and you can see the distorted mindset it creates, say, someone like Michael Jackson. He did not have the chart. He was a dancer and singer, whether he liked it or not.
Absolutely.
So there's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
Of course, there has to be a balance, but I do think there is space in the world for the creative arts and the educated or the curriculum-based sort of skills. I mean, I'm not a particularly clever person, or I'm not a dumb person, but I still pay someone to do my tax return every year.
Yeah.
And it might not necessarily because I don't know how to do it. It's just he'll get it done in 15 minutes. It'll take me a week.
Yeah, of course.
But that's his skill set. That's what he went on to learn.
Definitely.
And I appreciate that he's there doing that. Yeah. So it takes the strain off of me.
Definitely.
And this was actually something that I was thinking about earlier on today. People that won't invest in themselves will go, oh yeah, but you know, that course is going to cost me £100. That course is going to cost me 250 quid. Say, yeah, but last week you spent that on a pair of Nike Air 97s.
Yeah.
And all that's give you is a blister for a couple of days, and then the heartache when someone steps on your trainer 4 days later.
Yeah.
But that 150 quid you spent on them trainers, you could have invested in some sort of development, personal development or whatever, or, you know, learning a new skill that could have then gone on to make you thousands.
Yeah.
And then you can have every colour of 97s going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this interview as much as I am. I'm sat here and I can't even get a word in edgeways. I'm just loving this stuff that's coming out of Dave's mouth. So don't forget, guys, if you have got any questions for Dave, just drop the question, and obviously we can engage with you as much as possible. And Beverly's come on, and she's just saying that she could add so much to this conversation about education, child development and the system. Children don't know as much as they think they do. I can't even say that word.
Cognitive.
Yeah, cognitive development. So yeah, look, Beverly, thanks ever so much for your comments. Love the fact that you're getting involved. I'm not sure whether you know Beverly, but yeah, Beverly's a coach herself. A very successful one, award-winning, in fact. So, but says yeah, it could be somebody worth connecting with, actually.
Yeah, I'll probably. I mean, it's a very interesting subject because there's obviously going to be controversy around both sides.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Again, there's the difference between arguing with a fool and arguing with someone who's wise is the ability to listen, and
absolutely,
you know, a wise person will want to learn another answer.
Yeah, of course.
A fool will think they already know it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I'm always up for talking about this sort of stuff. I mean, I don't know too much about the cognitive development side of it in younger children, but certainly, you know, once they get to the point where the school offers them options, surely the school have enough faith that they could pick certain things. What it is, they just don't give them enough spectrum for things that they could pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think, yeah, I mean, this particular subject is you could just sit and talk about it all night, couldn't you? Especially,
yeah, absolutely.
And I think with where you're going with LifeSwitch is fantastic, and it really does tap into kind of you know, adapting that mindset at a young age, and it all links in with learning and education and everything else. So with that in mind, what is the long-term goal for LifeSwitch? What's your end in mind? We often talk at Synergy about the end in mind. What's your end in mind?
So the end in mind for LifeSwitch is to have a good base of people that have managed to take my experiences and go off to a point where I'm going to have to beg them for a friend request on Facebook because they're that successful. They've transitioned their mind so much that they don't even look back to that 10-year period where they needed.
Yeah.
Once LifeSwitch is at that stage, and I truly believe in my mind that it's not going to take as long as I probably first predicted, but I know I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Will be getting on stages, going into schools, going into universities, telling the backstory and saying, look, this is what I've managed to create, but this is what I've had to go through
to get here,
get there.
Yeah, cool.
And then there's also the charity stuff as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to touch on that, Dave. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I know it's something we discussed before we come onto the live, was about how LifeSwitch is going to support other organisations and charities, because I know that's something that you're quite passionate about.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's the path for that area with LifeSwitch?
So initially, it's going to be a shared profit thing with events.
Okay.
So every event that we do, we're going to have a guest sponsored charity. So we're actually going to be sponsoring them to be at the event. We're going to give them a pitch, and you know, we're going to actually invite them. We're going to obviously promote them and what they're doing. Now, I know our first charity that we want to get involved for our first event is going to be one that you guys are actually supporting. I know you're going to be hosting the event.
I am, yes.
The charity ball for Kim.
Beecher Hearts.
Yeah, Beecher's Hearts.
Yeah, I think Kim's on actually, or Kim was watching. So hopefully she is around still. But yeah, great charity. Great charity. I'm looking forward to comparing the event, actually. It should be a really nice event.
And, you know, if anyone wants to know a little bit more about Kim's side of stuff, we actually I had on a live on the Missing Link the other day. We talked about her past and sort of what led her to the bit that she's doing with charity. There's a couple of charities I'm involved in, which are local charities for low-income families and homeless.
Fantastic. So again, do you want to give that a plug? Or?
So you've got Helping Hands in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
They predominantly go out during the weeks and they get people to donate food, you know, sleeping bags and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They do events as well. They've done like raffle events, everything, and all the money raised all goes to the homeless guys. They also help get them in contact with people like You Trust and other organisations that are, you know, more established, government funded, because nothing Helping Hands is completely self-funded by the ladies that run it. And then you know, they try and help these guys get off the street. They've actually managed to rehome about 3 or 4 last year, which is actually, you know, excellent work for a self-run charity. Then you've got the Free Bank.
Yeah. And
Food Bank, which is at the moment it's only in the PO9 area.
Okay. PO9 being Haven't, yes, of course.
Again, that's in the process. They are developing it and growing it. What their ultimate goal is to get actually commissioned as a full charity, and then start opening up more food banks around sort of the Hampshire area, and then, you know, try and spread that out. So again, we want to support them as much as possible.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like the charity side of stuff, I've been reaching out to a few people for something, and certainly anyone watching, if this would interest you, please do get in contact, because we've just been covering it on the education side of stuff. So this is actually something that was posed to me as an idea, and I sort of thought, actually, I'd really like to do that. And the idea is to do like a once a month after school club.
Okay.
Where we have music teachers, sports teachers, artists, potters, you know, all this sort of stuff. Come and volunteer down, get the kids involved. And it might be that, you know, they just get to try something for the first time where they would never normally get the chance, with someone that can show them, you know, the benefits of, say, like learning a guitar and, you know, the skills involved, and, you know, the joy that you can get from learning, you know, like an instrument or sort of creative art stuff. So it's kind of like that. Again, you know, more sort of like low-income families and stuff like that wouldn't normally get them opportunities to put their kids in front of them things. Yeah. So what I'm looking for is to get a team of volunteers together. Maybe anyone that knows any organisations that work with kids that maybe, you know, might have behavioural, you know, issues or something like that. Yeah. Because again, it might just be that, like, I suffered with ADHD as a kid, but that's because I didn't have any outlet. For my energy. I just got stuck in classes, stuck in front of blackboards, and, you know, it caused me a bit of an issue. So again, you know, this is not just restricted to low-income families. It might just be someone that might not get that opportunity because their behaviour is not deemed good enough for them to get that opportunity. Of course. So at the moment, I have a couple of people that are interested in getting involved in that. So at this stage, it is very much sort of in getting put together. So, you know, this actually, you know, anyone that feels that they could bring some value to that, you know, I want to get about 5 to 7 people together. Okay. My side of it is I will organise locations and sort out all the paperwork stuff and, you know, more the organisation. And then I need the creative, skilled people to come and present that stuff. Okay. I'll be doing a couple of like kickboxing classes with some of the kids as well, get their energy up a little bit, and you know, run through some basic training. But yeah, so that's going to be like more sort of in-house with LifeSwitch. Fantastic. And again, with the charity stuff, anyone watching this and you know, is on your network, if they do want to come and promote their charity on the Missing Link, obviously they're more than welcome to. Brilliant. I'll quite happily, you know, schedule in lives so they can actually come tell their story, how they got involved. If they've got their own charities, you know, they're more than welcome to come and plug it on the group. We started off with, you know, maybe 50, 60 members in the first hour. In the first 2 days, we were 300 members. We've just I couldn't believe how it just went crazy, didn't it? Just through the roof. The young lady over there, my partner, Joe's with us, but she don't want to come on camera, guys. She's a bit too shy at the moment, but she says hello to everyone. And she I mean, in terms of the driving force behied it all, she's incredible at what she does. It is incredible. I've been watching it, and I've been watching it all, as you both know. I've been, you know, I've messaged you both on different occasions. Just, it's incredible what you guys are doing. Absolutely fantastic.
Just before we kind of round up the interview, and I'm so glad that you came, Dave. In fact, you know, we've run over by a little bit, but it's been great.
That normally happens when you get me on the camera.
Mate.
So, yeah,
it's absolutely fine. Everything that you've had to say has been extremely valuable. I'm hoping, and I'm sure the audience is enjoying it. We've had a bit of interaction there. Don't forget, you can come on later and watch. We will be posting this across the social media platforms and onto our YouTube channel. So there is an opportunity to watch this at a later stage. And if you've got any questions at all for Dave, just drop your comments, get in contact with us at Synergy, or get in contact with Dave personally.
Yeah, of course.
Head across to the missing link, join the group. It's fantastic, guys. So yeah, it doesn't end with the finish of the live. You can connect and get in contact with Dave at a later date. So just before we round up the interview, I asked this question to all my guests, and I hope you read my questions, Dave, because otherwise you're going to be put right out of your comfort zone here.
I don't mind that. That's all part of breaking barriers.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, so Dave, what I'd like you to do, just to let the audience know, an unusual fact or something that nobody else knows, not even Joe, let's go as far as that, nobody else knows until you share it with the audience now.
Something that nobody else knows, share with the audience now.
Could be as strange or as funny or as boring as you like, I don't mind.
Okay, well, I mean, there's a couple of nice little funny ones. Although I suffered badly from asthma when I was a child, I come 12th in a half marathon.
Did you know that, Joe? There you go.
The only reason I come 12th in this half marathon was because I was so competitive when I was younger. I saw one of my other neighbours coming up behind me, and I was so far back, and then he said apparently all he saw was my little legs pick up. I pelted it to the end. I got to the end of this marathon, and it was like, oh yeah, you've done really well on it. They're handing out the medals. I was like, I survived.
An inhaler, sellotape to your mouth.
Yeah, I was not in a good way, but just that pure happy moment, knowing that I beat my neighbour, was awesome. Worth every asthma attack for the next 5 days.
There you go, guys. Dave came 12th in a half marathon, and nobody knew that before today. So there's your exclusive content.
It's because then people ask me to do things like with my legs, and they expect me to walk paces, and like, no. When I say I done this was like 21 years ago. Yeah,
Brilliant stuff. No, thank you for sharing that with us, Dave. So, guys, look, thank you ever so much for everybody that's come on tonight and joined in. Obviously, like I said, I mean, there hasn't been many questions posed on the actual live itself, but don't let that put you off. If you want to get in contact with Dave, please do. He's got a very interesting story, very exciting concept in LifeSwitch. He's even got a T-shirt on. Look, show him the T-shirt.
So I'm showing the back of the T-shirt.
Yeah, show him the back of the T-shirt.
We do take ourselves very seriously.
Look at that. Yeah, handcuffs a lot.
Yeah, and that big bulbous head, that is all that motivational knowledge.
Superb.
Growing within me.
Brilliant. So thanks, Dave. Thanks ever so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You can come back, and maybe Synergy can come across to Missing Link or LifeSwitch.
Yeah, we'll be honoured to have you, man. And actually, fact, I think I am going to be having yourself and Mark on at some point as well.
Fantastic.
To talk about the directive. Awesome. And this is the funny thing, actually, when we talk about Synergy and LifeSwitch and all these things, like, it doesn't matter sort of what the ultimate direction is. Yeah. There's always a part of the path that can run concurrently, and
there's always synergy. There's always
synergy.
Exactly.
And the employee to entrepreneurial mindset. When I get to Mark's level in business with yourselves, then I want a nice little keynote in his next book. But it'd be awesome to have you guys over, and I want to say thanks so much for having me again over at Synergy, because it's always a pleasure to come here, and every time I walk out this office, I always feel like the next steps now.
It's brilliant, mate. It's really great that you feel like that. Thanks ever so much for coming on. Wish you all the best with LifeSwitch. Guys, don't forget, if you want to get in contact with Dave, please, I urge you to do so. And join the Missing Link, because it's a great group. Until next week, guys, we'll see you soon. Say bye, Dave.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for having us.